I am the girl gardener and this is my cottage garden. I don't live in a cottage, it's just a cottage garden and it's 6 years in the making. Before I get into any of my garden work, I have this peace lily inside the house that needs a little bit of TLC. I have 4 other peace lilies at home and this is the only one that isn't doing so well, and the only thing I can think of is that the soil level has gone down a little bit in the pot. It's also in full sun, so that may have something to do with it. The other peace lilies are not in full sun, they're in partial shade. But I think topping it up with some fresh compost, removing some of those dead leaves and just changing its location inside the house might help. Once I've done that, I can bring in some tomatoes. We've had a lot of wind over the last couple of days, so a lot of tomatoes have fallen off the vines, which is completely fine. I will pick all of those just the same and just give them a quick wash. That's when I'm not being whacked in the head by laundry. Don't worry, those were not my knees squeaking, it's just the polytunnel door and I'll get to fixing that soon. Right, are you going to help me with these? Are you drawing? Are you drawing? You slobbering cat. Eh? Although these pepper plants are laden with these curry peppers, I feel like there are so many on there that just aren't ready to be picked. I did genuinely think that I was going to be doing a bumper harvest for at the end of October, but that doesn't really look to be the case now. I will harvest what I can to take inside the house. Chilies, Garfield. You don't want chilies, do you? You want chilies? He wants me to cuddle him. There we are. We have a nice trug full of goodies, tomatoes, chilies, and a couple of these crystal apple cucumbers. Honestly, I feel like there's just so much more on the plants that isn't ready yet. And like, look at these ones, they're just very small, and I feel like they just have so much more time before they need picking. And we're not forecast a frost just yet. We're forecast a lot of rain, but no frost. So I feel like maybe if I leave them on for just a little bit longer and then see how we go. I'm going to water everything in the polytunnel before I go back inside, and then I'll sort out all of the tomatoes and chilies. I'm going to turn all of the tomatoes into a sauce. Let me come out of here. Oh, and I also just picked our last pumpkin too. There she is. It's the last one. It's a nice little harvest. This is the sauce that I made out of the tomatoes that we harvested. Just some olive oil, bung it in the oven, and then just squash it all down like you see me doing here. Once it cooled down, I just put it all into individual freezer bags and put it in the freezer to use in all of my cooking. It is Saturday and it is a dry day, so I'm going to mow the lawn, time lapse of course. Back in the days, I say that, I mean a few years ago, instead of mowing the lawn, I would rake up all of the fallen leaves. It would take forever and it was incredibly backbreaking. My lower back hurts after having kids. It is what it is. What can I say? Until I had the genius idea, it's not genius, I'm sure many other people do this anyway, to just mow it all up instead of raking up the individual leaves. That way I can mix up all the grass and leaves very easily and mulch the beds directly instead of putting everything into the compost bins. Now, composting is fabulous, but I find that when I add a thick layer of grass into the compost bins, it makes it a little bit sludgy. So being able to have the lawnmower just churn up all of the grass clippings and the leaves and just throw it onto the beds itself is just so much easier. I can just leave it to break down over winter, and come spring, this will have turned into beautiful, fluffy soil. Now you could say, well, why bother doing any of it at all? Just leave the leaves as they are and they'll break down into soil anyway. However, we still use our garden even throughout autumn, winter and spring, and so if I leave all of these leaves on the grass, they'll become very slippery and wet, so it's not really safe for the kids to run around on. Plus the lawn needs mowing anyway, so doing this does have its uses. And it's free mulch. People pay for this stuff and I've got it for free off the ground. It is starting to get dark. It's not as dark as it looks on camera, but it is starting to get dark. But I have only a small amount left to do. I really want to get that finished. It was only once I watched the footage back that I realised just how dark it looks on camera, and getting darker by the second. And here is how it looks the next morning. I couldn't wait. I had to finish it off. I was like, no, it's only a small amount. Doesn't it look good? Beautiful, nice cut grass. And I realised when I looked back at the footage just how dark it was, but like I said, I really wanted to finish it off, and the beds look so good with the mulch on it. I'll show you up close, hold on. Here we are. So I put the grids back on just in case Garfield decided to use it as a toilet. I do need another one here, so I've got some of these pieces in the shed, some more of them, so I could take them out. It's just that I did have plants here, but now that they've been removed, we still have some straw flowers, which have done ever so well this year. Oops. They're gorgeous, but yeah, it looks great. See, it's all just a nice mixture of leaves and grass, which I guess you would class as your greens and browns. And as much as, like, I think I've already mentioned it in the video, as much as I love composting, it's great to just add this directly onto the beds, because then that leaves the compost bin open for me to, you know, put other things in. Here's the other one. And then I put some into this bed as well. Still some, I think I'm going to have to pick these tomatoes green. I think I'm going to have to. It's getting far too cold. So all of that, cutting the grass, the whole thing gave me enough for 3 of my beds. And you don't have to use this just on raised beds. You can put it anywhere. Oh yeah, and by the way, I haven't finished clearing this section. I will say I actually just got bored. I got bored. And that's how it is. When I get bored, I just leave it and move on to something else. And it's windy, and then I come back to it on another day, which I will do. But it is a gorgeous, gorgeous day. Blue skies, barely any clouds, absolutely beautiful. So I'll hopefully be getting on with some more stuff. But that's it for today's video, or this week's video even. And yeah, I just appreciate you coming along and hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.